In this lesson of Cheat Code Spanish, we're going to talk about the Spanish basics. Now that you have a grasp for the vowel sounds, let's look into some of these basic things that's going to help you in daily conversation. We all know that hello is hola in Espanol. And then we also have common phrases such as ¿Cómo estás?, which is how are you? And then you will respond with that by saying estoy bien, y tú, I am good, and you. And we're going to look into the word estar a little bit to explain why these responses are this way. Now, estar means to be. In Spanish, they have two forms of to be. I like to call this one the little b. Now, it's the little b because we're talking about temporary states. These could be emotions, also locations, and actions. You would say yo estoy, I am, tú estás, you are, él, ella, está, he, she is, ellos están, they are, nosotros estamos, we are, temporarily speaking. Let's look at some greetings in Spanish. Now in Spanish, people will approach you depending on the time of the day, and they say buenos dias. This is counterintuitive because dia ends in a, but it's actually masculine. It's el dia, un dia, so it's buenos dias. Now the afternoon is feminine, la tarde, entonces buenas tardes, good afternoon. That's any time between noon and 6:59 p.m. Buenas noches means good night, but they actually use it like good evening. It's a greeting. Good night would also be like que descanses. How to say goodbye? Very common way, ciao. You also can say hasta luego, which means until later. And the most common in most countries is adios. Introductions. Now, you always want to know what someone's name is, and you have to do a mindset shift on this one because they don't ask directly what is your name. They ask what are you called. ¿Cómo te llamas? What are you called? Llamar means to call. Now you can ask directly what is your name. ¿Qué es tu nombre? And you can say my name is, but you actually would say I am called. Me llamo. Me llamo George. Me llamo Juan. I am called. But if you want to say my name is exactly, you would say mi nombre es. How to use mnemonic devices. So I want you guys to visualize this phrase. Where are you from? ¿De dónde eres? Now, de, which means from or of, sounds like the English word day, like in the day, which also the day has the dawn. So, de dónde? De dónde eres? So think of the sun. De dónde eres? Where are you from? Now, ser also means to be. This is the big B. All right, this is essentially the queen bee because these are more permanent states. Not always permanent, but more permanent. So these could be your birthplace, could be professions, which do change but are technically permanent, some physical attributes if you're tall, and your family ties, mother, brother, sister, things of that nature. So it's the same. Yo soy, I am, tú eres, you are, él, ella es, he, she is, ustedes son, you guys are, nosotros somos, we are, but permanent. Now, if someone asks you, de dónde eres, don't say that you're American, say that you're from the United States. Soy de Estados Unidos. You don't have to say the in most Spanish-speaking countries. Just say, I'm from United States. Soy de Estados Unidos. Now, a little bit of travel Spanish to help you out. You might want to ask for a taxi. ¿Puedes pedirme un taxi? Pedir, to ask or to request. So another mnemonic for this one is thinking of someone paying you, pay, and then thinking of a deer, like a reindeer. Pedir. And this is going to help you with the pronunciation of this particular word. And this means to ask, request, to order. Now, in Latin America, people love negotiations. You get in a taxi, you want to negotiate. So the first thing you want to ask is, how much? How much does this cost? ¿Cuánto cuesta? And then from there, they're going to tell you a ridiculous price because of your accent, you have to negotiate. Now, taxi talk. If you want them to take you somewhere, they're going to llevarte. Llévame al centro comercial. Vamos al parque. So you're going to tell them to take you, or we're going to a particular place. This is if you're using a taxi and not an app. Llevarse, which is reflexive, just means to take or to bring. Now let's talk about money, our favorite topic. You come into a country, you want to go to the money exchange, Casa de Cambio. And when you get there, you're going to ask the exchange rate. ¿Cuál es la tasa de cambio? And they can tell you, la tasa de cambio es 5-1. Now, dollar, we all know is dólar. But native English speakers often mispronounce this word. So I'm going to give you a mnemonic to help you out. And even I struggle with this one because I want to say it how we say it in English. So think of someone rolling out pizza dough and think of them adding grease or oil or lard. Dólar. You don't want to say doler, which means pain. Now, moving on, looking at where the term comes for money in most Latin-speaking countries, it's peso. Peso. That's just one way to pronounce it. Now, this comes from the word pesar, which means to weigh. And dinero, obviously everyone knows that means money, but a slang term for money you'll hear in a lot of Spanish-speaking countries is plata. But plata literally means silver because they used to weigh. Now, we are in the 21st century, so a lot of people pay with credit card. And you want to ask, can I pay with credit card? ¿Puedo pagar con una tarjeta de crédito? Now, you can just say tarjeta, but a lot of times, you want to say de crédito because they might not accept debit. Tarjeta. Crédito. All right, so some places will tell you, yes, of course. Sí, claro, which means of course or for sure. It's not the same, of course, as sarcastic in English. It just means, of course you can. And some places will tell you no. No, señor. Solo en efectivo. That just means they only accept cash. And the way I use this one to remember it is that cash is effective. Cash is efectivo. Now, tener is a very important verb to learn, which means to have. Yo tengo, I have. Tú tienes, you have. Él, ella, tiene, he, she has. Ellos tienen, they have. Nosotros tenemos, we have. Now, remember in Spanish, you are not things, you have things. So in English, we would say that I am 30 years old. In Spanish, you would say I have 30 years. Tengo 30 años. And this is something you always have to consider. You don't want to say that you are something that you have. You might want to ask someone, are they hungry? Are you hungry? So again, in Spanish, you have hunger, you're not hunger. Tienes hambre. You would not say, I am hunger. Now, if you're sick, it's the same. In English, we say we have the flu. We don't say we are the flu. Tenemos la gripa. We have the flu. Prior to Airbnbs, people checked into hotels. You still might do that from time to time. You want to let them know that you have a reservation. Tengo una reserva. I have a reservation. And then they're going to ask for your passport and your credit card. Puedo ver tu pasaporte y tarjeta de crédito. Can I see your passport and credit card? And you can ask them what time is checkout. ¿A qué hora es la salida? Very important question. You get out of the country and you want to get Wi-Fi because you don't have data. Do you have Wi-Fi? And you don't have to pronounce Wi-Fi different. It's still Wi-Fi. ¿Tiene Wi-Fi aquí? Then you would want to ask, what is the Wi-Fi password? ¿Cuál es la contraseña de Wi-Fi? Now you can say contraseña, clave, or código. These are 3 different ways to say password in Spanish. Now, restaurant, we're going to go in more detail about this in a later lesson, but let's just go over some basics right now. So you get to a restaurant and it's just you and your date, a table for 2, una mesa para 2, por favor. Always say por favor. It just helps. And you might look at the menu and you want a recommendation. What do you recommend? ¿Qué me recomienda? And then remember, in Spanish, they teach us in school to be super formal. Quisiera pedir, which is super formal. But you can just say dame. Dame, which means give me, but again, watch your tone. Dame, such and such. Dame un taco, por favor. Give me, but again, watch your tone. And then when it's time for the bill, la cuenta, por favor. The bill, please. All right, guys, that's it for this lesson. Holler at you later. Ciao.